Studies, it's right there. It's in the UK Guardian. Pedophilia, bringing dark desires to light. The Jimmy Savile scandal. He's a presenter on the BBC. Jimmy Savile, I'm maybe mispronouncing the name, doesn't matter. Jimmy Savile scandal, it says here, caused public revulsion, but experts disagree about what causes pedophilia and even how much harm it does. Experts disagree about how much harm it causes. And then they go interview people who make the case for pedophilia. No, it's not a crime, it's love. Statutes on the book, but statutes are wrong. The statutes are from a bygone era where everybody's morality was wrong. I mean, look, I'm just telling you what it says. And they make the case that kids enjoy it, adults enjoy it. What's wrong with a little love? The same things that were said about gay marriage. Look at the story, the Elmo story, the puppeteer at PBS. 3 or 4 young people, kids, were hit on by that puppeteer. Look how little attention that story. In fact, that story was laughed off. Wasn't a big deal at all. I had checked the email during the break. I'm not engaging in shock values. I'm not trying to shock you. I'm just telling you what's out there on this pedophilia. I'll tell you where I first saw it. Wesley Smith, who is married to Deborah Saunders. She's a friend to columnist, San Francisco Chronicle. He had a little blog post at the National Review website, Is Pedophilia Just Another Sexual Orientation? So what? So I read it. And it was this piece that alerted me to the column, the piece about this in The Guardian. And that piece suggests that pedophilia may be just another sexual orientation. It's not perverted. It's not wrong. It's just another sexual orientation. And in fact, it's quite loving and as natural as any other sexual orientation. And this is what those of us with our heads and minds in the dark ages have got to modernize and realize. The argument being made in the piece is that the desire for sex with children is a natural part of the human condition. And in fact, if we acknowledge it and encourage it, we can actually somehow better protect children. That's in the story, too. It's the same thinking. If you remember back in the 90s, when we were told that kids are going to have sex, you can't stop them. And that's why we needed to give away condoms in the schools. And remember, we had stories from Long Island, parents who said that they willingly let their daughter's boyfriends spend the night because it was better if their daughter was going to have sex in a clean bedroom rather than the backseat of a car. Well, same thing here. We can better protect children if we know that they're having sex with adults rather than it being done on the sly. And if it's supervised, and if it's engaged in by loving people, then what's wrong with it? This is in the article. I just want to remind you now, when you first heard about gay marriage, and I don't mean to pick on gays, it's not what I'm just, it's something that is such a tremendous departure from accepted norms of the day. When you first heard about gay marriage, would you poo-poo it? When you first heard me say that the Sierra Club was going to try to come after and ban your SUV, what was your reaction? Oh, come on, Rush. There you go again. Overreacting, exaggerating. Well, you know that the SUV has become a target. You know all about that. You know how much progress the notion of gay marriage has made. So I'm just keeping you here on the cutting edge. In fact, the article in the Guardian actually quotes some academics. For those of you in Rio Linda, that's college professor types. These are the people you'll see that have leather arm patches on their sport coats. Academics are quoted in the Guardian piece saying that sex with adults does not hurt children. Normalization. So Wesley decided he wrote a whole piece on this, normalizing pedophilia, where he quotes extensively and looks into it and finds out what this is all about. Pedophilia, bringing dark desires into the light. And it says, among other things, this article's loaded. This is pedophiles may just be wired differently. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just wired differently. There's a growing conviction notably in Canada, by the way, that pedophilia should probably be classified as a distinct sexual orientation like heterosexuality or homosexuality. Two eminent researchers testified to that effect, Canadian Parliamentary Commission last year. And the Harvard Mental Health Letter, July 2010, stated that pedophilia is a sexual orientation and therefore is unlikely to change. You imagine if Jerry Sandusky had had this information at his trial. What would you think the reaction of Jerry Sandusky's defense? Hey, look, it's normal. The kids loved it. I loved it. Nobody was hurt. And in fact, it's just a different sexual orientation. Now, who do you think's behind this? What kind of people do you think are behind this effort to normalize pedophilia? Which is what? The abuse of kids, is it not? Who's behind that? What is their objective? They want us to all think that pedophilia is just another sexual orientation. And you know who's going to fall right in line? College kids, just like they have on gay marriage, just like they do on all other revolutionary social issues. Their own definition of the cutting edge, civil rights, freedom, understanding, tolerance. So, just warning you here. You think it can't happen. Impossible. Don't be nutso and wacko on us, Rush. I'm just asking you all of the things that that occur normally in our culture that when you first heard about them thought, no way, that'll never happen. That'll never be mainstream. And now they are. Yeah, you want more excerpts in this piece? 1976, National Council for Civil Liberties, the respectable and responsible pressure group, now known as Liberty, made a submission to Parliament's Criminal Law Revision Committee, and it barely caused a ripple. Childhood sexual experiences willingly engaged in with an adult, it read, result in no identifiable damage. The real need is a change in the attitude which assumes that all cases of pedophilia result in lasting damage. So you see, it's you who have to reorient your thinking. It's you who have to get rid of your bigotry. It's you that have to open up and become more tolerant. It is you judgmental people who think this is child abuse when it isn't. You are the ones who are going to have to change. The pedophiles and the children involved, they're normal, just like you or anybody else. It is your old-fashioned conventions that create the problem. It's another excerpt. It is difficult today, after the public firestorm unleashed by revelations about Jimmy Savile as the presenter, the BBC, and the host of child abuse allegations that they've triggered, to imagine any mainstream group making anything like such a claim. But if it is shocking to realize how dramatically attitudes to pedophilia have changed in just 30 years, it's even more surprising to discover how little agreement there is even now among those who are considered experts on the subject. And here is a money quote. For Mr. Good, though broader societal change is needed, adult sexual attraction to children is part of the continuum of human sexuality. It's not something we can eliminate, she says. If we can talk about pedophilia rationally, if we can acknowledge that, yeah, men do get sexually attracted to children, but no, they don't have to act on it, then we can maybe avoid the hysteria. We won't label pedophiles as monsters. It won't be taboo to see and name what is happening in front of us. See, the only people who have to change are you, who have these old-fashioned Victorian-type attitudes. You're going to have to open yourselves up to love and realize that wherever it happens, it's wonderful, no matter what. Now, there were people, I just want to remind you, back during the early days of the effort to redefine what a family is, and in the early days of the gay marriage activists, there were people who said, well, if this becomes mainstream, then someday marrying your dog is going to be okay. And then having two husbands and two wives in one family is going to be okay, because who can say it isn't? And then there were others who predicted that pedophilia would be mainstream. And there was an outcry of opposition to this. And here we are. The expert that I was quoting extensively from in the pedophilia story in the UK Guardian is Sarah Good. Goode. She is a senior lecturer at the University of Winchester and is the author of two major sociological studies on pedophilia in society in 2009, 2011. Hey, folks, look, I know it's uncomfortable. I'm just warning you. There's now an effort on to normalize it. It's safe for children. Controlled, supervised, engaged in, two loving people. It's actually safer for children this way. I mean, same rationale back in the 90s are giving away condoms. We can't stop it. Kids are going to have sex. So we want to make it as safe as we can. It's the same technique being used here. A bunch of college academics who've studied it. So there's really nothing wrong with pedophilia. It's just another sexual orientation. And in fact, it may be safer for children when it's engaged in knowingly and accepting. Because children love it. The adults love it. And if there's love involved, what can be wrong? And I'm not making this up. We'll link to the story at rushlimbaugh.com. You can read it yourself. I was made aware of it by a contributor at National Review named Wesley J. Smith. Well, I mean, that man-boy love association. It's like I mentioned, try to imagine where you were the very first time you heard somebody seriously make the case for gay marriage, and ask yourself, what was your reaction? It was probably something like, oh, God, right, that'll never happen. And now here we are. Gay marriage and gay rights happen to be at the top of important issues for young voters ages 18 to 29. It is the number one most important issue to them. Civil rights, freedom, tolerance, liberty, all that cool stuff when you're that young. Well, here we go with the same technique. It's safer. It's safer for children under these circumstances than if it's happening under cover of darkness and behind the law, and if it's happening under the shroud of illegality, then it has a stigma, but it really shouldn't. It's just another sexual orientation. It's a serious piece. It is a serious effort, and it's all about these people wishing to have their preferences and desires judged to be normal, not weird or perverted or what have you. And most people, and even if you had heard about it, what are you going to do? Let's say what are you going to do about it? You might organize opposition to it. You might organize a proposition. You put it on a ballot to oppose it, and you win, and a federal judge will overturn it. Yeah, what do you ban pedophilia? It's already against the law. What do you do to stop it? Who's going to stop it? Do you think today's Democrat Party is going to speak out against it? No. You won't have them advocating it, but you're not going to have, not yet, but that day's coming. If it follows the same progression as some of these other things you thought would never, ever happen, and they are happening now in a mainstream way. So that is what Walter here is reacting to, and he said that pedophilia, societies can't survive when stuff like this becomes normal. But you've got some official psychiatric groups that are endorsing it as normal, and the only thing wrong with pedophilia is the bigoted attitude towards it, is the point that the story in the UK Guardian, which is left-wing, but it's not a fringe publication. It's a mainstream publication in Great Britain. We'll be back.